Hey all, this is Scott Peoples with Veterans for Responsible Leadership, and I wanted to make this Veterans Graham video to highlight the ongoing fight in the North Carolina State Supreme Court race. We at VFRL are not only going to focus on holding leaders in the federal government accountable during the second Trump administration, but also in state houses all over the country, just like North Carolina, especially battleground states, because really this is where the fight for democracy is going to be over the next 4 years, is down in the states at the grassroots level. So I wanted to make sure, for all that didn't know about this race and what's going on, I know it's starting to get some more national attention, which is great, but I think it needs even more of a spotlight on it because what's happening down here in North Carolina is extremely undemocratic. I live here in Raleigh. I'm a veteran of the 82nd Airborne Division down in Fayetteville at Fort Liberty, and I love the state, and I just want it to be filled in both parties with leaders of integrity and moral character that will do the right thing and respect the will of the people. So basically the facts are in this race that it's the only race in the entire country that hasn't been officially called and certified from the November 2024 elections. The Democratic nominee for the state Supreme Court race, Allison Riggs, defeated the Republican nominee, Jefferson Griffin, by just 734 votes, over 5.5 million that were cast. So it really is proof that every vote matters and your vote always counts. So make sure to vote in every election. But Jefferson Griffin had the right and requested to have multiple recounts, done by the State Board of Elections, and 2 thorough recounts were conducted and completed by mid-December. And any leader of integrity at that point would gracefully concede and live to fight another day in another election. But that is no longer the path of the MAGA GOP. He's following in President Trump's footsteps that any election lost by a Republican has been rigged, and any election won by a Republican is free and fair. So this is an anti-democratic cancer that's spreading all over the state houses as well. And we really need to call attention to this, because if this is able to succeed, it really serves as a blueprint for what other state houses can do across the country about trying to take an election after it's been all the votes have been cast through the courts. So the facts are that Jefferson Griffin has now made several lawsuits that are going forward, both simultaneously within the state Supreme Court here and in the federal court system. There's a case about to be heard by the Fourth Circuit. But basically, he's challenging up to 60,000 votes, in either by what he's saying are incorrect registration forms or overseas military ballots that he said incorrectly didn't show photo ID. But these, especially in regards to the overseas ballot, this was agreed upon by the North Carolina State Board of Elections unanimously across both parties, that they would not require the photo ID for those ballots. So these voters followed the law as it was agreed upon in the state house and state legislature, and now after the fact he wants these ballots thrown out. And he's not even hiding it that he's just going after votes in specific 4 counties that are lean heavily blue and went for Kamala Harris. There were over 32,000 overseas ballots cast, but he's only going over these 5,500 in these Democratic counties. So not even hiding, he's just going after the votes that he knows he can get thrown out that were for Allison Riggs. So and the worst thing is that he's he's an active duty member of the National Guard. He's a officer in the JAG car for the Army National Guard. So he's taken an oath, and he knows what he's doing is completely anti-democratic and wrong. But I guess the oath doesn't mean the same to him as it does to many of us veterans that just want to have a free, fair playing field. And if you lose an election, you concede gracefully. So and he's even saying these voters don't need to be thrown off the voter rolls, that they're not illegal voters, but they just they're technicalities that he sees that should warrant their votes to be thrown out. It's just kind of a slap in the face to all of these service members overseas. So I wanted to highlight it and draw attention to it, and just state that Everyone in North Carolina, call your representative, let them know that this is wrong and we cannot allow it, to ask Jefferson Griffith to concede and for democracy here. So thank you.